We are here with Jay. What's the last name?
Jason Drake.
Jason Drake?
Mm-hmm.
Jason Drake with Cassettes Won't Listen. Cassettes Won't Listen. Tell me about Cassettes Won't Listen. Where did that come from?
The name pretty much just kind of popped in my head a few years ago while I was recording. I was recording a song about an ex-girlfriend at the time, and it was a really emotional song, and I realized that I was sort of just letting everything out onto tape, and it was sort of like a therapy session for me, and there was nobody there listening to me. It was just kind of I was letting everything out and nothing in return, and it just popped in my head. And at the time I was trying to think of what I was gonna call myself, and I didn't want to just go by Jason Drake because the music at the time sort of sounded like a full band, and I was just wanted to think of a band name, and Cassettes Won't Listen sort of just came to my head, and I was like, all right, we'll run with it, see what happens.
So when you were pouring your heart out into the cassette, so you had like a cassette player and like a microphone, and you were just talking into it, or you were actually making a mix?
I was actually writing a song and recording guitar and bass and drums, and it was one of the first songs I put out there. The first single was called "Cutting Balloons," off my first release, and it was just the right timing, and the name came to me, and the song was written, and I put it out there, and it all kind of just went from there.
So when you go back to that first tape or the first song that you were mixing, came up with the name, how do you feel it holds up compared to like what you're doing now, compared to what you were doing then?
There's been a lot of growth I've seen, and that's why I decided to kind of put out this last release as a physical release. The first two releases were digital, just to kind of test the waters to see what people would think. I didn't want to put too much time and energy. I was just writing songs, putting it out there, and got really favorable responses from press and fans, and so I decided to put this last one out physically because I felt like my songwriting, my production had grown a lot over the last couple years. The first single I put out ever, which was Cutting Balloons, from the first release, kind of hinted at the direction I was headed, which is more singer-songwriter mixed with electronic slash hip-hop beats and production. It was sort of hinting at, where I am now. That first song I just wrote and sort of surprised myself. I was like, this does sound like a full band, and I want to start writing more of these songs, and I continue to do so. The second release, which was all of the instrumentals, was me honing in more on my production skills. So this last release that just came out in March, this combination of me honing in on my songwriting skills and my instrumental production.
So is it just Jason Drake recording by himself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do all my recordings in my apartment. People still
should probably get a studio.
Yeah, should look into getting a studio. But actually, my recording in my apartment has kind of dictated the way I've written my songs and recorded my music. A lot of the music when I've written has been recorded in when I lived in the Lower East Side, when I had to be very quiet. I tended to do more instrumentals because I could record with headphones. I didn't have to yell and scream and record vocals.
Get emotional.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's all been me. I mean, people still think it's a full band. I marketed it as a full band when I first came out with 4 fake characters on drums and bass and guitar and synthesizer, and put out a press release saying, these 4 guys
hanging out,
just hanging out, making music, and people thought that it was a full band until they started asking me to do live shows, and I was like, oh, shit, I need to either get a band together or
really
come
iPod.
Clean, yeah, iPod or like 8 different arms, so I could handle everything, and so I had to put out another press release saying, sorry, it's just one guy, but I guess that didn't reach everyone, and people still think it's a full band.
Do you ever bring anybody in as like guest appearances, or like how does that usually work? Do you usually kind of like play engineer and just let them do it?
Yeah, I mean, my live shows switched up from having a drummer and a DJ, guy doing live visuals, to bringing on guest bass players, guest vocalists, have backup singers. Right now I'm doing a full strictly solo show where I'm working with looping pedals. I'm kind of building the music as I go along, and singing on top of that. But
so when you're we'll get into the live area. When you're on stage, like you're doing the solo tour now, what instruments are you using?
Right now I'm using keys, guitar, vocals, and then I have looping pedals, and Ableton Live, a Korg. So mainly like keys, I'm recording and looping live, and then recording over that, affecting it with different effects, onboard effects, and guitar and vocals.
Nice. Nice, and the reception's pretty well, I imagine.
Yeah,
I mean, people love looping.
It's good. It's I'm taking it. It's kind of like a electronic musician meets live instrumentation meets DJ set, because now I'm taking each of my songs and mixing them together live. So it's kind of like a DJ set, but I'm performing.
What was your golden oh man, I got to put this on the site as soon as I can?
I think the mention on Perez Hilton. Was like, I woke up one morning with getting emails from people I haven't heard from for 10 years.
Nice.
And like, we saw you on Perez Hilton, and I was like, holy shit, what is happening?
What did he say? I missed it.
He was talking. I did a cover of Liz Phair's Fucking Run back in like about a year ago, and he caught on to it, and he put it up on his site, and it was a very favorable review. No drawings on my face or like nothing.
Cock drawings on your face.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was like an actual positive review from Perez Hilton, and everyone saw it, and that spiked music sales, and people saw it from who I went to kindergarten with, and people saw it, and it was like, I mean, that's press right there.
Yeah,
if anything's gonna be press, and if anything's gonna get the word out, Perez Hilton's gonna do it.
Doing all these types of different things. I mean, I could tell, through the music, it's got such a variety. The folk, the DJ, the electronica, every little bit of thing. What were your influences? I'll have to ask you this. What were your influences when you were a kid? What are your influences 2 years ago?
My influences, I listened to hip hop growing up a lot. So it was that, and then my sister listened to a lot of indie rock, so I was exposed to that.
So you had both sides of the coin on that.
It was a lot of like Tribe Called Quest, Digable Planets, Farside, Guru. Digable Planets was a huge influence on me. And then on the indie rock side, it was like Pavement and the grunge movement, and then Sebadoh and all those characters, and then started getting into electronic music and beat and production when like Aphex Twin was starting to make noise, and like Fatboy Slim and Moby back in the day. So that I sort of grew into starting off with hip hop and indie rock, and then more into electronic music. And nowadays, the Shins have been an influence on me. I mean, I love their songwriting, but it's still all the mid-90s stuff that influenced me. I mean, you look at my iPod, and it's all stuff I was listening to back when I started.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. You want to give your MySpace sites, your websites, your anything else?
Sure, it's myspace.com/cassetteswon'tlisten or cassetteswon'tlisten.com. I have shows coming up. Check out the website for shows. And
what's the website?
Cassetteswon'tlisten.com.
Cassetteswon'tlisten.com.
And be on the lookout for a summer tour and more music coming your way.
Yeah. And so we got Jay Drake here. He will be playing at the Jezebel Music Monthly show. And that is, when is the date is that?
It's June 19th?
June 19th. So come out and check him out with that. And there's a whole bunch of other bands playing with him. And then check out his MySpace site. He's got a lot of cool videos on there and interviews with like Spin and stuff. So it's pretty sweet. So, all right, check him out. Good work.